Hi everyone. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Thanks for joining me again for the recording of this week's blog. So let's get started. The name of this blog is called Staying Open. So I'm sure that many of us have heard the expression, whatever we resist persists. What does that mean, and how does the act of resisting cause the very thing we wish to go away to keep hanging around? In fact, it becomes even more overwhelming, that thing, and takes up more and more of our time, our mind space, and our energy. To begin to understand, let's just start with a story. You and your friend decide that you'd like to spend the day together, just the two of you. You haven't seen each other for a while, so you're really looking forward to catching up on what's been happening in your lives. For years, though, there's always been a kind of an underlying friction in your relationship, and you can never figure out exactly why. So today, you're determined to shift the dynamic, just have fun, and make a precious memory by simply enjoying each other's company. You both decide to pack up a picnic lunch and maybe a bottle of your favorite wine. There's a beautiful park a few miles away, so you decide on that picturesque place for your destination. You find a table by the lake so you can watch the ducks and the swans as they gently glide across the water. You sit down next to each other and you spread out all your delicious food that you prepared for your special time together. You are feeling so peaceful and grateful for this chance to reconnect with each other. You both begin to look all around and talk about the beauty in this natural and pristine place. You marvel at the color of the azure blue sky and remark that one of the fluffy white clouds looks like a puppy with floppy ears. You notice how a graceful egret moves slowly along the banks of the lake, carefully searching for a late afternoon snack. There's a feeling kind of like an expansion as you experience and you take in every beautiful moment unfolding around and between the two of you. You begin sharing what's been going on in your lives, and you laugh together and sometimes shed a tear or two as you discuss some of the challenges that you've been going through. Suddenly your friend says, "Oh, look at those two teenagers. They remind me of us when we were that age." You laugh and say, "Oh yeah, I remember. Remember when we had that silly fight about the boy that we both liked? Geez, did we go a little crazy or what?" Your comment is returned with dead silence. Suddenly the energy between you turns icy cold. Your friend's expression turns from joy to anger, and she closes like a metal vault at Fort Knox. "Hey, what's wrong?" you ask. "Are you still holding on to that stuff? It was a long time ago. Maybe it's about time we talk about it." More silence roars like an angry lion as your friend turns away from you and just kind of looks in the opposite direction, clearly refusing to talk about what happened. You were both 19 and liked the same cute boy. He decided to choose you, and you and the boy later married and had children together. But you thought she was finally over that. After all, it was years ago. You then become angry at her refusal to at least try to talk about the elephant in the room that never seems to go away. "Well, here we go again," you bark. "Maybe if we just face this painful memory, we could put it behind us. As long as we don't, it will always be a wedge between us, and I miss you. I miss what we had." Your words are met with more silence. Clearly, the wall was back up again, and the resistance was stronger than ever. The beautiful day and potential happy memory transforms once again to a persistent and immovable block that keeps two once close friends from sharing their love and from being authentically and lovingly there for each other. So life is filled with all kinds of situations like this and other things. Some are wonderful, some are annoying, and some are deeply painful. If we only open to the good times and then we close our energy to resist the ones we determine are bad, we will miss the opportunities to learn from them, evolve as a soul and as a human being. How can we do this when we are much more inclined to push away our challenges so as to avoid the pain associated with them? The best way, I believe, is through understanding. As we are aware, we are an eternal soul having a human experience. We chose this journey just as much for the adversities as for the pleasures that this world can offer. As a matter of fact, it is through the adversities that we are afforded the greatest opportunities for growth. Our challengers are most likely pre-planned by our souls so that we could move forward exponentially on our spiritual path. Resisting them will never make them go away. In the above situation, the relationship between these two individuals may most likely continue to become more distant. Yet the same kind of challenge and lesson that was seemingly avoided with that relationship will almost undoubtedly turn up in a different experience at another time. Perhaps the lesson for one of them was forgiveness, and for the other, compassion or empathy. The one who did not get the boy got so angry and is not willing to forgive, and that's the lesson she wasn't getting. The other one just fluffed it off like it was nothing without taking the time to actually feel some empathy for this person who felt a sense of loss, her friend. But for sure, there was a lesson for both of them. The longer we resist something, it will persist until we finally decide to turn, face our fear or pain, work through the difficult circumstance, and learn the lesson it came to teach us. This is much easier said than done when addressed from a purely human or ego perspective, of course. The ego thrives on opposition and it thrives on comparing itself to others. It is almost always driven by fear and wants to win or come out on top at all costs. It will engage the ego of its apparent opponents, and when that happens, no one really wins. Fear causes us to behave in ugly ways and to fill our minds with dark and sometimes hateful thoughts, even if we're normally a very kind and compassionate person. There's always a negative cost or consequence to each soul, even if there appears to be an evident victor. When we respond from a soulful perspective, we refuse to choose fear. We deny our ego the opportunity to lash out or misbehave like an out-of-control toddler having a temper tantrum. Even in the midst of a frightening situation, we talk calmly to ourselves and our fearful ego. It might go something like this, that conversation. This is kind of typical what happens to me. I can't say that I always succeed, but this is my attempt, and most of the time it does. Okay, I know this is scary. It's okay. We've been through difficult times before. You need to stay present. Stay aware of what's happening, and whatever you do, don't jump head first into the drama. Don't close. Stay open. Always stay open to all of life. You know this. Nothing is either good or bad. It's just all about lessons in the journey of our soul. The tough stuff always turns out to be the most precious treasures for our soul. It's times like this when we need to remember, just remember, we are not the pain and the adversity. We're not. We are the soul the observer that is aware of what's happening in the forefront of our life. So observe and be aware. Okay, now just breathe. Just take a couple of deep breaths, and then we can ask our team of light for assistance. We can ask them not necessarily to fix the situation, but to help us face the challenge with clarity and peace of mind and acceptance. We can ask for courage and grace to stay true to our immortal nature and remain firmly positioned on the seat of our soul. Let this situation pass through us. Just let it pass through us without getting stuck inside. Because if it does get stuck inside, it will continue to cause us pain. We can do this. We can do this. I know how hard it is to accomplish this, especially when tragedy strikes. We may not be entirely successful, but it just might take the edge off for a moment or two or three. The more we practice non-resistance, the more life moves through us, and our lives become a spiritual testament to love and peace. We become the dance, and our lives become the dancers. The light of truth, the answers, and our peace of mind is always found in the present moment. So if you fly off in those moments when we get dysregulated, if we fly off into the illusionary past or future, those answers remain where we left them, and we'll never find them until we return home to ourselves, into the eternal now. We're stronger together than we are apart. As light workers, let us continuously join our unifying light and fervently commit to be there for each other, in person and in spirit. We got this. So I hope you enjoy this, and I hope it made sense. It's a little bit hard to understand what that means, to be open and to close. But it's all about energy and an ability to be light in those moments when we become dysregulated, when we let our emotions get the best of us, which happens to all of us. But being open means allowing our energy to not become contracted, even in times of stress. And that's why that talk that I have with myself, it doesn't always go exactly like that. That sounds very perfectionistic, and it's not always like that. Sometimes it's a little more frenzy, but it's always the same. Okay, I know you're upset. I know you're upset. Just, it's okay. It's still just part of life, all of it. There's a lesson here. You need to stay open. I mean, I went through this already, but I'm just saying you can say whatever comes to your mind. The important thing is that when you contract and you close, your ability to shine your light and be the love that you are becomes difficult, because all your energy is locked up, and whatever is bothering you at the time gets locked up within that energy, of course. So say whatever the situation is, and you go and you close, there's this wall of energy that goes around that thing that you're trying to resist. It doesn't go away. It could be years, which is in this situation it was. Just some little thing happens and triggers that pain. That's why in the moments when you're going through a trauma or tragedy, it's important just to remind yourself and do the best you can. We're not always successful, but really all of this spiritual growth that we do and the evolution of our soul that happens comes from being mindfully aware and not getting lost in our chaotic mind and our emotions, and ask for help in those moments when we're upset. Don't just do it on your own. Don't just, we have lots and lots of help, both in spirit and here. So reaching out for help and support is important too. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. And I hope everybody enjoyed this. I don't know what's going to happen next week. I was supposed to have surgery on Friday, and it was changed to Monday. So I'm figuring I'm going to be just fine. But if there's a little setback or something, I'll keep everybody posted, okay? So a few prayers would really be appreciated. I thank you all so much for being part of my life and sharing the time together. So namaste, everyone, and have a great week.